film is back. Yep, you heard me. Smartphones and mirrorless cameras have lost their appeal with this specific demographic. In fact, film is growing faster than mirrorless cameras to the point where you're really going to be shocked, and it doesn't look like this trend is going away. But before we get to the details, please subscribe to this channel. It doesn't cost you anything, helps this channel grow, and keeps you up to date on the latest camera coverage. Japanese publication FNN highlighted a recent trend among the young. It seems that the appeal for film photography is spreading among the younger generation who enjoy analog over digital. With demand for film cameras increasing, especially among young people, and this one particular store tripled the size of its used camera selection. It now carries about 4,000 items, and that's the largest selection in Kaishu. And yes, I know what you're thinking. The Japanese market is a very different market. It's not Canada, the United States, Australia, New Zealand, Germany, France, or even Great Britain. You see, well, how should we put this delicately? They like to dress up their cars like Christmas trees. They have a crying baby festival, a festival in which babies are held in the arms of sumo wrestlers in an open-air sumo ring. Two babies compete in a short match in which the first child to cry is proclaimed the winner. Yeah, I'm not making that up. The first baby to cry is named the winner. Anyhow, nevertheless, going back to film cameras and their growing demand among young people. If you think this is just related to Japan, take a walk down to your local camera store, assuming of course you have one close by, because I think what you're going to see is that they have a dedicated section towards film cameras. And I'm not just talking about retro ones, I'm talking about new ones as well. And the Fujifilm Instax, both a retro and a new camera, go ahead and ask them how popular this model is. Go ahead and ask them how popular the Fujifilm Instax is, because you're going to be shocked. The sales volume of the Fujifilm Instax has tripled to the point where it makes more money than all other Fujifilm cameras combined. I'm not kidding. I'm not punking you. This is not April 1st. I found this quote on Petapixel. Here, have a read. In July 2023, an analysis of Fujifilm's 2022 financials revealed that Instax-related products accounted for a majority of Fujifilm's consumer imaging segment, which had sales of 266.9 billion yen in 2022, an increase of 22% over the previous year. Did you catch that? The bulk of Fujifilm's sales from their imaging department isn't coming from mirrorless cameras like the X series. It's actually coming from Instax, I'm sorry, bear with me here, Instax related products. But that's not the most interesting thing. This segment, the Instax related product segment, accounts for a whopping 65% of the sales of the entire consumer imaging division, which includes all of Fujifilm's cameras, including Instax. So if you go down to your local camera store, it really shouldn't be a big surprise when you see an entire section dedicated to, well, Instax related products or film related products. But as I kind of hinted at earlier in this video, Fujifilm Instax isn't a new product. The Fujifilm Instax hit the market in November of 1998, and that's before mirrorless cameras took off, and long before the Icon debuted in 2007. It not only helped Fujifilm enter a new market, but also helped them sell more film in an attempt to take more market share away from the market leader, Kodak. Then later in 2017, long after Kodak filed for bankruptcy, Fujifilm released the Instax and the Instax Mini. And it's once again back, generating sales and helping reinvigorate the film segment. But it's not the only film camera in demand. Turning back to Japan, as many as 100 film cameras are sold in a single day at Kitamura Camera. And the most expensive item is kind of in a league of its own. A Leica camera made in 1969, the year before I was born, is priced at an astonishing 1.7 million yen. When I first came across this, I couldn't believe it. And I saw it in multiple locations. I was watching a documentary about Kodak and Fujifilm, and there was a little bit of a mention about this camera, Instax, and how popular it was back in the late, 1990s. And then this week I was at a local camera store, maybe it was last week, I can't remember, but it was pretty recent. And I was talking to the guys there. We were talking about cameras, the Nikon Z6 Mark III. I held it in my hand and it certainly felt very nice. But I don't know how we embarked into this conversation of film cameras, but they pointed directly over to the section. They said, yep, we sell an awful lot of those Instax related products. And I was surprised. So after I got back, when I got back home, I decided to look into it a little bit, and I was really shocked. And I get it, for people like me that are older, we kind of like to go back to our youth. For me, it was the Amiga computer, the Amiga 500, the Commodore 64, the VIC-20, the Amiga 3000. For many others, it's rebuilding old classic cars such as a Ford Cortina, a Ford Mustang, or a Corvette, or something a little bit more simple. Something that, not because of its horsepower or its design, but how it takes us back to a certain era. And I do get that that's some of what's going on here, but for the younger generation, this is not about taking them back to a earlier, simpler time, or a better time, as some might say. It's about perceiving these retro products to have more value. These analog products have a higher value over digital. And to put it simply, it's fun. But credit goes to Fujifilm. Because if we go back to the 90s, let's say the mid-90s, even leading up to 1998, film was king, and the king of film was Kodak. I mean, when you compare them to Fujifilm, and Fujifilm produced good film, but Kodak, by and large, was dominating the world. And yes, Fujifilm did well in Asia, especially in Japan, but they didn't come anywhere close to the demand that Kodak was able to demand. And Kodak had been around for 100 years, and they saw themselves as being, the innovator. They were king, and they didn't see that changing. And they saw the Instax, and they kind of thought about cameras and played around with them a little bit, not just in the 90s, but hundreds of years ago. They wanted to be your one-stop shop. In fact, when they first started out, they'd sell you a camera with the film in it, and then when you want it developed, talk about a closed garden, you had to send the camera back to them. They'd take it apart, take the film out, develop it, and send the camera back to you with new film in it. But something happened in the late 90s. It's not that something happened, something didn't happen with Kodak. I guess it was hubris, but they were so closed in that they thought that film was going to be around forever. And so when things started to shift and change, of which they did do dramatically, where a drop in film sales, I think one year dropped about 35%, and that never came back. Fujifilm, they read the market correctly. They knew they needed to do something, but what that was, they weren't sure. They went off into medical, they went off into other sciences. They used the same chemical processes in the film, in the developing the film, that whole process, in other areas. And it was rather successful. And of course, as most of us know them today, is the Fujifilm X-T3, X-T4, X-T5, X-H2, and many other cameras that they've come out with, including their medium format cameras. Fujifilm is still around today, but the fact that got my attention the most was that 65% of the sales from the consumer imaging division isn't from their digital mirrorless cameras or lenses or camera bodies. The entire product series is from the Instax related product series. That's truly incredible. So how much does the Instax cost? Well, here, let me show you a few things. You got the Fujifilm Instax Mini Evo Hybrid. in brown and black. And you also have the more traditional looking Fujifilm Instax Mini 99. Well, okay, it's just definitely a lot smaller. And yes, it's definitely smaller than the retro camera, but it still has a bit of a nod to that early design. Then we have the Fujifilm Instax Wide 400 instant film camera, and all of these are instant film cameras. That's what sets them apart from all the other cameras. It's not that you have to send your film off. The cameras develop the photos internally and then print them out. You've also got the Fujifilm Instax Mini 12, and look at the price of these things. $79, $149, $199. It's no wonder that people are enamored by these cameras and these products. I just bought the Canon R5 Mark II, and it really is a terrific camera. I like digital. I have no problems with digital. I like analog as well, but $42.99, the taxes I paid on this camera could have bought me anywhere from 3 to 6 Fujifilm Instax cameras. So, you know, I get it. I understand, and I can see the fun in it. I mean, to be able to give somebody a camera for their birthday or for Christmas where it develops the film itself, and you're only out $100 to $200, I can see the fun in that. I might get one for my son for Christmas. Oh, it reminds me of when I was 9. I had one of those Kodak, I forgot the name of the camera, but it's where you put the flashes in the top. You had 6 of them. I don't know where the old photos I had. That was fun though. Anyhow, I hope you're having a good weekend. Thank you for following me down memory lane and watching to the very end of this video. And if you're interested in picking up the Fujifilm Instax, any one of them, please consider using my affiliate links down below to Adorama, B&H, or Amazon.com. But if you're still into mirrorless, well, you want to pay attention to all the sales on, especially for Nikon and Canon, and using those affiliate links is what helps keep this channel on the air. But now it's time to go up and edit this video. Thank you so much for tuning in. Have yourself a great weekend. And if you're in Ontario, have yourself a great long weekend. We'll see you again soon.